Okay, guys, so we're going to discuss lesson 2 to 4 for financial management, specifically business finance for senior high school students. This lesson is for my students for Macario B. Sister Senior High School Unit 1. And I'm hoping that you're going to watch this YouTube video in full because this will constitute 3 meetings already. So when we talk about business finance, we are dealing with money. As I said before, 'di ba, when I discussed to you the terms and definitions of asset that would be involved, the reason why we had to talk about assets, it's because the one thing that we're going to deal with is money. So you need money in order for you to purchase those assets in order to run your own business or company. So money, it is one of the important vitamins required for running any organization. It is just like blood, without which there is no human being. Similarly, without finance, there is no organization. So money runs everything, especially also in the government. Without the said money, we are not going to be able to collect taxes from the people, and therefore our governments will not run as well. So money definitely is the flowing blood of each and every institution, whether a company, government institution, or a non-profit or a non-stock um, institution or corporation. So it's all business finance is all about the operation of money and how you handle it. Money and finance. So a currency, as long as you have with you, it is money only. So when you lend it to others to buy or invest in investment avenues or opportunities, it becomes finance. So meaning of financial management. Financial management is concerned with the acquisition, meaning pagkuha, financing, meaning pagbibigay ng pera or pagsusupport through the use of money, and management o pagsasaayos ng assets to achieve organizational goals. So when we're dealing with financial management, we're talking about acquisition of assets, financing the assets, and management of assets. The things or problems that financial management deals with is number one, anticipating financial needs. So, a financial manager has to think that he needs to estimate the funds required for investment in fixed and current assets. When talking about acquiring or financial resources, the where and how to obtain the funds to finance the anticipated financial needs. And when you're talking about business finance as well, you're dealing with allocating funds in business, which means that the allocation of available funds among the best plans of assets, which are able to maximize shareholders' wealth. So, number one sa Tagalog or sa Filipino, anticipating financial needs, inaasahan mo na meron kang dapat na i-fund or supportahan through the use of money. Number two is you're dealing with acquiring financial resources. You're concerned about kung saan mo kukunin yung pera. And number three, when you're allocating funds in the business, it means that you are now deciding on what channels do you support these, through what channels will you support these activities, and ano yung magiging worth it na investment. So financial decisions. So the financial management can be broken down into three major decisions, which are important finance functions. So a firm takes these decisions simultaneously and continuously in the normal course of business. So the firm may not take these decisions in sequence, but decisions have to be taken with the objective of maximizing shareholders' wealth. Pag sinabing shareholders' wealth, pinapataas mo yung value ng stocks para sa mga shareholders mo. Because as you will learn eventually, shareholders are actually the one financing the whole company. They may not be the incorporators or the founders of the said company. However, their own money is actually the one that runs the whole operations of the said company or business or enterprise. So when we're dealing with business finance, we're talking about financial decisions. Again, when we're talking about financial decisions, we're dealing with um, investment decision, financing decision, and dividend decision. So pag sinabing investment decision, saan mo gagamitin yung pera mo? Okay. Saan mong operations ilalagay ang yung pera? Pag sinabi naman nating financing decision, saan mo kukunin yung pera? At saan mo siya i-outsource? And dividends, paano mo hahati-hatiin yung pera para ibigay sa mga shareholders or sa mga stockholders na tinatawag. So all these financial decisions are the ones that will be involved in the decision-making process of a financial manager. So if you are a person who's very interested in business finance, you should arm yourselves with knowledge and skills regarding investment, financing, and dividend decision-making problems. So when you're dealing with investment decision, this decision is related to the selection of the assets. So the required assets fall into two groups. We have the long-term asset. Example is plant, machine, land, and building. The investment in long-term assets is popularly known as capital budgeting. When we're dealing with short-term assets, we are dealing with raw materials, work in process, finished goods, debtors, cash, etc., which can be converted into cash within a financial year. So, in dealing with long-term assets, these are the assets that you are expecting to uh, you are expecting to last for more than 1 year. Okay? So, agad-agad naman, hindi naman pwedeng mag-expire yung plant, yung machine, or yung land or building mo, di ba? Sometimes it will take 20 years, 10 years for them before they become depreciated or no longer functional or valuable to the said company. Kaya they are called long-term assets. When you're dealing with short-term assets, you're talking about these goods that are usually expired in the normal operating cycle of the business. So, minsan ang tawag sa short-term assets is non-current is current assets. However, yung sa long-term assets naman ang minsan tawag sa kanya is non-current assets. So, investment in current assets is popularly termed as working capital management. So when you're dealing with financing decision, the determination of proportion of debt and equity in capital structure, the debt also involves fixed costs or interest, which may help in increasing the return on equity, but also increases risks. And you're also dealing with rising of funds by issue of equity shares. It is one permanent source, but the shareholders will expect higher rates of earnings. So, again, when it comes to financing decision, di ba, ang tinitingnan mo sa sarili mo is, magkano ba yung uutangin ko in order to fund my own business or corporation, and at the same time, hindi niya masasapawan yung yung tinatawag na equity. It should be optimum finance mix which maximizes the shareholders' wealth. Lastly, we're dealing with dividend decision, which relates to the dividend policy. Dividend is a part of profits, which are available for distribution to equity shareholders. So it involves the termination of portion of earnings per share, or EPS, to be declared as dividend per share. There are two options available in dealing with net profits of a firm. We have distribution of profits as dividends and retention of earnings in the firms itself as if they require for financing of any business activity. So when you're dealing with a dividend decision, pag kumita ang yung kumpanya mo, you are actually torn between whether ibibigay mo na kagad siya sa shareholders mo as a dividend or gagamitin mo muna siya sa kumpanya mo. So ilalagay mo siya sa tinatawag nating account na retained earnings. So pag sinabing retained earnings, pag tumataas yung earning per share mo, ibig sabihin, ito yung part na, ito yung money na nire-reserve mo for expansions, for future operations, etc. So financial managers should determine which optimum dividend policy, meaning pag sinabing optimum dividend policy, mataas yung naibibigay mo kay shareholders but at the same time, hindi ganun kabawasan kay company pag binigay mo na siya or pinakawalan mo na yung pera. Which maximizes market value of the share and thereby market value of the firm. So, interrelation among financial decisions. So, there is an interrelation between investment decision and financing decision without knowing the amount of funds required and the types of funds, which are short-term or long-term. It is not possible to raise funds. So, these are the two dependent on each other. Yung financing decision and investment decision. Bakit? Because when you're dealing with an investment decision, kung tinatanong mo ang sarili mo kung ano yung dapat mong i-invest, nagtatanong ka din syempre kung saan mo naman kukunin yung perang panghahawakan mo. Financing decisions influences and is influenced by dividend decision. since retention of profits for financing selected projects reduces the profit available to ordinary shareholders, thereby reducing dividend payout ratio. Pag sinabing dividend payout ratio, ito yung binibigay mo na part ng money ng mga kinikita mo in contrast with the financing decisions na pinipili mo. So for example, let's say nag-issue ka na ng dividends doon sa mga shareholders mo, no? So it will mean na kapag there comes a time that happened where you're short of cash or you're short of money in the said company, you will be required to actually contract a loan from the bank kasi inisyo mo na yung mga pera doon sa mga shareholders mo. So you are torn with the problem na kung hindi ako magbibigay or kung hindi ka magbibigay kay shareholders, maaari silang magreklamo. But at the same time, kung hindi ka naman mag-iipon for the retained earnings na gagamitin mo for the next business operating cycle, you will be sometimes forced to contract a loan with the bank in order to meet the financial requirements by the said company. So dividend decision and investment decisions. So they are these interrelated because of retention of profits for financing and the selected assets depends on the rate of return of proposed investment and the opportunity cost. Now, the profits are retained when return on investment is higher than the opportunity cost of retained profits and vice versa. So yan po yung graph natin for interrelation among financial decisions. This is the first part of the lecture or the lesson 2 to 4 of the business finance, and I hope that you've learned a lot for this said short lecture. As I will review this to my students, it is very important for you that to watch this video first before we start discussing business finance furthermore. Thank you.